Welcome to SaaS Backwards, a podcast that helps SaaS CEOs and go-to-market leaders accelerate revenue and enhance profitability. Our guest today is Adir Ben-Yehuda, CEO at Autonomy AI, an AI platform that provides a fleet of context-aware agents to take on front-end development. It automates repetitive coding tasks and reduces tech debt to accelerate product releases, serving high-growth startups and enterprise R&D teams alike. Adir, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to record your episode. But before we get started, could you please tell us a little bit about Autonomy AI and your background before joining the firm?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I'm the CEO and founder of Autonomy AI. My background is coming from go-to-market, actually. So, not in the code space, but mainly around selling to sales organizations and marketing organizations. I've took 3 companies from zero to over $10 million in revenue. For some reason, I like to join very early on, right? It's like, yeah, oh, you have no product? That's great. Let's make something out of it. So I'm very much enjoying this. And we did the same thing. Like, I thought to myself, let's found a company. So we started Autonomy AI. In the company, we have 2 other co-founders, my CTO, Tamuz Dobnov, and Eric Feingold, who's our chairman. As you had mentioned, we're focusing in the code side of things and helping companies actually accelerate their ability to produce software and produce code. Been around since September 2023, launched the product in April 2025, and scaling very quickly.
So that's pretty quick founding to launch. Are you eating your own dog food here?
Yeah, of course. That's a key part. So it's the paradigm, and I think what a lot of people, when they look at agents, maybe kind of missing or don't really realize is there are 2 things, right? We obviously build our own product, right? With our own product. But the second thing, agents are a living organism, if you will. They learn and adapt all the time from every run they do and kind of build themselves. And that's a key part of what we had, right? So we kind of build a foundational that the agent will work on. Once we start building our product, the agent actually became better and better and was able to produce way better results in month 3 than month 1.
My very early career, I was a coder and project leader on big software projects for IBM and then Citibank. So I've been decades long student of the development world. So it's exciting to see some of the promises that were made to us 40 years ago come true. So
Yeah.
this one's a particular interest for me. Let's talk about go to market. And when we talked in our prep, I brought up the book Crossing the Chasm, which we're both fans of. But you said, the model might be outdated for today's go to market. I think we need to dig in a little bit about what's driving companies at different maturity levels to adopt AI solutions like Autonomy AI.
Yeah. So maybe let's talk a little bit about the concept of crossing the chasm, right? It's kind of divided in 2 main buckets, like the early market and then kind of the mainstream bucket. The early bucket, you have like the innovators, the early adopters, they're still there. But then the mainstream bucket, you kind of have the early majority, the late majority, and then onwards. And when you talk about the personas of the early majority, the late majority, they're usually their profile are people that are pragmatic buyers. They don't want to hear about your roadmap. They don't want to hear that one day you'll be able to also do that and just enjoy the ride and join the company, like buy your product. And then you have the skepticals, right? Like people are, it's not going to work, or I'm too conservative for this. And I'm like, I'm too worried. I don't know what this thing is going to do. And if you look at what happened, I think that the pivotal moment that happened was back in 2023 when OpenAI kind of launched ChatGPT, and it became overnight the most adopted application on earth, right? Like in a few short days, this entire model kind of collapsed. Because when you look at the second bucket and like the late adopters, skeptical buyers cannot be skeptical. Everyone is using it, right? If you use it in your own household, you utilize it for your own things. You kind of look at it for work and vice versa. And if you look at the pragmatic buyers, I mean, what reason they have not to be pragmatic? They look at what AI can generate, and it kind of removes the process from getting a result and gives you the result. So it's very easy to see how like you can be very pragmatic and how efficient it could be for you. What I'm looking at right now from Autonomy's AI point of view is like everything is collapsed. We're getting everyone from everyone. We're getting like mature companies. We're getting like big enterprise. We're getting small organizations, and everyone is kind of jumping on everything. And this entire paradigm of like, okay, we need to be very slow. We have innovators. We have people that we want to tackle. It's, in my opinion, I see it kind of collapsing and falling down.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely some like fear of missing out here, right? That you could be eclipsed even as a large scale enterprise if you're not adopting some of these tools, right? That your ability to compete, bring new product to market could be dramatically impacted if you're not using these productivity tools. Does it mean that we have to do different marketing to these like enterprise, more conservative firms, or do they come to us, out here on the forefront in AI? Are these folks looking for these solutions, or do we have to go instigate the conversation?
They're 100% looking for them. I think one of the things that we learned and we saw is you just need to be out there, right? I think there's kind of also a different paradigm in the way we look at marketing. Instead of like reaching out, doing a lot of outbound, you just need to be with billboards and with the headlines. And people are looking for it constantly. And the reason they're looking for it is because they're getting a lot of pressure, even in big organizations, from management, from board, right? If you go, and probably a lot of people from your listeners are listening and hearing this and saying, hey, it actually happened to me. You sit in an executive meeting or you talk with your boss and people are saying, what are we doing with AI? And you got to have a good answer. Or what other AI tools out there can help us more efficient or increase like the cost of acquisition if it's in marketing, or essentially increase the velocity of development or reduce bugs in the development cycle. We've all heard this in the past year in some way, form, or shape, and everyone is actively looking. It means you just need to, from a marketing perspective, you just need to be more out there. And actually, instead of thinking like a sniper, you need to think more broad, right? And make sure that more eyeballs can see you.
So this is really the case for brand marketing right now, right? We don't have to do demand or lead generation. It's really brand development, create reputation in the space you want to operate in.
Exactly. While Crossing the Chasm is kind of changing, the psychology of some individuals will still be there. They would still like to be, they will buy earlier, but they will still want to buy from a brand who's trusted and has good social proof. So there are two things here, right? Like, let's not be fooled. People will buy earlier, will adopt things earlier, but the same people who are late adopters, skepticals, or maybe conservative, they will buy earlier, but they would like to buy from a trusted brand. That's why you need to invest more in like the brand marketing and social proof around it.
I think that's a great takeaway for go-to-market teams at firms like yours, right? It's not that you don't need to do marketing, but you need to do the brand work, establish that foundation, let the demand come in as it will, because there will come a time soon, is it a year or 2 years out, that we're going to be back to creating awareness and demand for the solutions as well. Let's kind of move on a little bit. I actually wrote my first LinkedIn newsletter on this topic today.
Yeah. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we're out there with a lot of content marketing, but I finally decided to take up the bid on a LinkedIn newsletter. This is a really important topic. So AI is potentially reducing the need for people in the workforce, right? And I guess my question is, how do you see the role of knowledge workers evolving? And when we talked about it, it was like from doers to orchestrators of AI driven process. But I also wonder if there's something else at work here, which is kind of like the analogy I used today was, everybody's seen a new highway built or a highway, they make more lanes, more traffic lanes on the highway, and the traffic always seems to take up the available highway capacity. And I'm wondering, do you see actually a reduction in workforce needed, or is the role of work going to change and are we going to need more orchestrators than doers?
Well, first of all, it's a very, loaded emotional question, I would say. Right? It's a
Yeah,
topic like
welcome to
I
the
think I
podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
I think it's a fair question, and I think it's a good question. I talk with a lot of people, and I'm in front of many. Like I'm doing a lot of like conversation and lectures about this space, and it always ends up with this, right? Like, what are we gonna do next? And I think the way I see it and the way I believe like the next 10 years are going to unfold, I think, yes, more orchestrators than doers. You, first of all, you would be expected from the organization you work for and you work in and you're part of, you're going to be expected to generate more and to produce more. So by definition, like you'll need to find all those hacks, right? To adopt all those hacks. And those hacks are going to be mainstream. And the second thing is, instead of focusing on processes, instead of looking at like what process can I do to get to an end result, you have to be thinking about the end result. So kind of orchestrating a bunch of AI tools and bunch of AI solutions from that aspect, right? That you would be able to control and get you the result itself. It means you'll need to be more creative as a human being, as a person. It means you need to be more crafty and think about like the next steps and be more strategic on how you can orchestrate. Same as managing employees. It's the same thing, right? I think the second thing, and that's another paradigm that I'm looking at, it will just open up the market to more entrepreneurship. The ability to actually generate more companies, reducing the barrier of building a company and building a solution. I just talked with a friend of mine, and he's like, he took a true story from this morning. He went and took his haircut today, went to the barber, and the barber is like a small shop, downtown New York, downtown Manhattan. And he talks with the barber, like, so, like, the barber asked him, sorry, he's like, so what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm in AI. He's like, oh, I have this problem. I'm trying to get like appointments and I can't find the right solution, the right application. He's like, don't worry about it. He sat there in the store, in the shop, 2 hours, build him a nice application with like where he can book things. They can book like different like appointments and things like this, and track them and track payments and to do the rest of the things. So that's a key part of like what AI can do for you. So moving people from doers to orchestrators, but opening also the market to the ability of more entrepreneurs and more solutions out there as well.
This is sort of an emotionally loaded topic, right? The continuing relevancy of knowledge workers in the workplace. And I'm really an optimist. I think that we need to land on the optimist side of things, as you just tried to do. It's going to create more work, right? There'll be more demand for more tech to be built to solve more business problems. And, Mark Benioff's statement aside that he's not hiring any engineers at Salesforce, I'd like to take a look at that about 6 months from now. It'll be a year almost since he said that. And my bet is there'll be more engineers on staff than there were 6 months ago. But they'll be doing different things, and the work will, in some ways, be better. If you take some of the rote work out of systems development, imagine how much more creative people could be. So I think there's actually a huge opportunity. And sure, there's going to be some people who don't have the job they have today, but I think there'll be more jobs in the end. And I don't think there's been a technology development that's reduced growth in employment. I don't think we have that yet.
I think there is going to be a dip for the short term, and I think for the long term, there's going to be like an evolution. If you look at like, I think the last big thing that happened in this equivalent, which is the Industrial Revolution, right? What happened is like, yes, the workforce changed. People in the short term lost their jobs, but then became a boom of like different occupations, right? And if you think about it, what happened right after the Industrial Revolution, the entire concept of psychoanalysis started. Freud, right? All of a sudden, people started saying, oh, I have a little bit more time. I can think about myself. I can think about my feelings. So I think we'll see the same evolution here. The only thing, one caveat I would say, this is going to be way quicker. Your comment about Mark Benioff and about Salesforce, I agree. Probably they're going to have more people, but the technology is not quite there. But in the span of 2 years, I would bet you'll see a reduction in force. Everything is moving in a different pace.
Yeah, adoption pace and impact going to be much greater than anything we've seen before. Let's talk about your launch and go to market. So you guys went from no clients to 70 companies using the product in just a few months with significant ARR. So let's talk about the go to market for Autonomy AI. What did you do that's enabled such rapid adoption?
So let's divide it into two parts, right? Maybe talk a little bit about our model. We're currently a high touch sales motion, meaning people come to our website, they book demos, they book meetings, and we like take them hand in hand, right? And we divided it into let's divide it into two parts: the top of the funnel and how we deal with the deals that are coming in. From the top of the funnel perspective, when we did the initial launch, we essentially built a lot of content around it that wasn't talking about us, right? It was alluding to us on our website, but we built content that people actually cared about and was timely for them. And the way we did is we basically asked our prospects, like our future prospects in our friend groups and friend cycles, what do they talk about internally? What do they talk about in management meetings? What do they talk about with their teams? And we build a set of content around this, right? That was the initial launch. Second thing we did, and I recommend this to a lot of people here, is Product Hunt. Was super successful, not expensive, got us a lot of lead, a lot of exposure, and got us a great social proof because we kind of scored in the top 4 of companies there. And those are the key things we did. Then the second part, we enabled people to come to the website and book meetings very quickly. The first thing they had to do is put an email. I captured email, and then I can let them go down the funnel of booking the time. So that's kind of something that helped a lot. The second part, and that's a key thing up to now, when we have a meeting and that part, it comes to the conversion, it's very easy on a 30 minutes call to see if it's a go or no go for the prospect. We build the product and we kind of try to orchestrate the demo part that the prospect could see within 30 minutes if this is something that is valuable for them, if this is something that could generate a linear ROI, meaning I use it today, tomorrow I get the result, and I don't need to go through a hoop to understand how it created an impact from that manner. And I think the third part, we can install this right now. So Ken, I would go on a call with you and would say, great, 15 minutes in, you like this? Let's open your computer. Let's try it on. It's literally 3 minutes. Let's check it out, right? And kind of helped us, going back to the initial part of our call, all the pragmatic buyers saw it very instantly. We kind of built our rapport and our social proof on the call itself and didn't hide behind the scenes. So that was a key part of our initial success.
Is there any place in these organizations you see this getting the most use, like any functional area of your client organizations? Other SaaS firms building their apps? Are they enterprises building internal tools? I mean, where is this getting the most traction?
So today the product focuses on front end, and we are essentially mimicking and building an autonomous front end developer for organizations. And we see it from a company's perspective, we see a lot of cybersecurity data companies that are coming to us, right? Marketing tech companies that are reaching out to us. And the people who are utilizing them are usually CTOs or CPOs, chief product officers. They want to accelerate the flow. We even have a lot of CEOs that in larger companies that are involved and part of the buying process and the adoption process internally, because the way they think about it, this is like a mandate that I have. I need to move faster and in a more lean way. This is something that could help. So we see it across the spectrum, and the main place they want to utilize is when they want to accelerate deliverables on software, and they want to say, oh, we have a deadline and we want to move faster before the end of the quarter or before a competition, or we want to increase revenue, so we need to release this feature. That's where they adopt Autonomy very quickly and utilize this.
Makes a lot of sense. Kind of shifting gears maybe a little bit here. And this was surprising to me, but you mentioned that fundraising was a bit of a challenge early on. And yet, you kind of started out, AI was, the rocket motors were lit. So what were the objections that investors had, and how did you ultimately prevail and get the funding?
So like everything, right? I think AI was the key thing, but a lot of VCs, a lot of investors we talk with did not really know what AI is. They understood a buzzword, they understood what LLM is, right? Maybe they realized, and I'm talking back at September 2023, maybe they realized their agents starting to be out there, but it was very early on. I think we're one. I was just talking with a big consulting firm with their CEO. I'm not going to mention the name, and they had mentioned that agents have been around for 8 months. And I'm like, no, we had an active agent in January 2024, which is a year and a half ago. So one of the key things is think about it. We're coming to all those VCs. Yes, we have a background. We built a few companies. We were able to scale a few companies, but we're coming with something they've never heard about before. And with this big promise of guess what? We can do what a human being is doing, just better in a scalable way, right? And it's I'm thinking about it back then. I'm like, where did we have the nerve even like to come to them, right? And we're like, we were really, really, it's like, what are those agents? Like we heard about them, but is it real? It's like 5 years in the future. We were not sure. Probably someone who can build them, it's probably not going to be you. And you probably need $1 billion to build those kind of things, right? Fast forward to July 2025, agents are like the main technology. Everyone are utilizing them. But at the beginning, we had to kind of go in and say, this is something that could actually work and educate our investors on what could actually work. A good hack that actually helped us, and maybe it could help your listeners as well. I went to some of the investors' portfolio, to their website, and kind of targeted companies that I think could be early adopters for us, and took the LinkedIn names of their CTOs and told them, if you want to trust us, talk with this person. I'm happy to hop on a call with him. Let's be proactive about it. And we kind of started building the social proof. We kind of started building the confidence on what the product can do, even from a conceptual perspective of like, oh, this is actually makes sense. It's not complete BS, right? So that's something we were able to kind of tackle head on. But really, the main challenge was, how can you explain to someone what's going to happen 2 years into the future, which is now, right?
And it's interesting because VCs have this reputation for being so forward thinking. And I think it's actually the entrepreneurs have to drag them into the future. I love that hack of going into the portfolios and trying to get a vote of confidence from some of the CTOs. That's a great idea.
It actually works. It's great.
Have you actually had any traction with investors' portfolio companies?
Yeah, quite a few. I think it's a great way to also build your pipeline and convert deals. So yes, and even later on, later stages, when we kind of like talked with different VCs, they said, "Hey, part of the DD is for us to connect you with a couple of portfolio companies." I'm like, "Bring them on." It's like, if this investment is not going to pan out, at least I'm going to have 2 new clients, or at least 2 new leads or prospects. So yes, it's working. Again, it goes back to the place that everyone wants to try everything right now, and especially when their VC is talking with them, right? And they're saying, I have a product for you that can help you become more efficient and scale faster. Like, you're not going to say no. You're going to say, yes, I'm going to check this out, right? So that was very helpful.
We did touch on this a bit, but I want to go back to what's creating inbound interest. You're not spending a lot on marketing at this time. Where are you placing your bets, either organic or paid at this point? Where are you putting yourself out? You mentioned Product Hunt. Where else are you active in go to market?
The challenge, as we had mentioned and defined, is like, we want to get a bigger chunk of the market. We need to build rapport. We need to build social proof, right? People still want to like buy a product that they know. We're doing a lot of content. That's the first thing. And we're trying to build content that's timely. So we kind of build a mechanism. Everything that is buzzing right now, within 24 hours, using AI, of course, will generate pieces of content that are timely, that are very curated, and we see a huge amount of inbound traffic against them. But it also helps us become like basically thought leaders in specific topics. The second thing, we're collaborating with a lot of companies and brands in our space, bigger brands, right? They want to build the content. They want to become thought leaders. They want to bring things that are innovative. So we're doing a lot of cross-content collaborations. We're doing a lot of podcasts, dinners, and events, so people could see us and see this is the real thing. I think it's big in this new AI era, right? Like people are craving. They want to move into like the social experiences and be with one another. It's a huge thing. And the third part is we're focusing. We kind of removed SEO almost completely. We were focusing heavily on agentic, or basically AI engines optimization, right? Focusing on them a lot because that's where our audience is. They're searching things not on Google. They're looking at ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude, and it's a key driver of traffic for us as well.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, even before the rise of search on chat, SEO was almost a dead art. And I think now it always kind of amazes me that there's still people trying to sell traditional SEO services. But how are you optimizing for share of response? I don't even know what you call it. Share of response on a chat.
So the key part is to figure out the niche questions. That's what worked for us, right? So if I will ask, how can I help or if I would try to kind of compete, quote unquote, on an answer of how can I optimize my code generation in my organization, it's going to be very hard for me. But if I'm going to ask questions of like, hey, I have front-end components in React, which people are asking, you'll be surprised, and I want to optimize them, that's where I can shine. Not a lot of companies are competing for this, but a lot of people are asking about those kind of things. And I'm unique and I have unique content around those kind of things, right? The new equivalent of rising above the noise is actually being below the noise and understand what people are searching for, that is niche and very focused on your aspect and your spectrum.
Where are you getting those insights into the questions that people are asking?
We use a third-party tool, and we utilize this tool. It's been great for us, and it's really working.
Fabulous. Let's land on a case study kind of conversation about autonomy AI. You've defined it pretty well. You're transforming front-end development, saying that days of work could become minutes. Can you walk us through a specific example? You don't have to mention the client name, that's fine, but how is autonomy AI actually reducing or accelerating the software development process?
Yeah, so I have a bunch in this specific use case. A lot of companies, they have their backend ready, right? They have the engine, but they want to kind of move to the new AI UI, right? The AI user interface, where people are getting used to. So a more chatty experience, more back and forth, more dynamic experience. And a lot of our clients are coming in and saying, hey, we've planned this entire redesign of our platform, and it's going to take us like 3 months to deliver on this, because we need to generate the designs, we need to generate the code, there's going to be bugs, and there's a whole iteration. And a lot of them are coming to us and saying, hey, we have all the designs for you, can you help us accelerate everything? And specific one we just did, we just helped recently, they planned for 3.5 months, we finished everything within a week. They basically did an entire redesign of their software to be more fitted to the AI era, I would say, right? For their new client, for their current users as well. And that's something we kind of help. But guess what? The result was also bulletproof, meaning there was no QA needed, because an agent is doing this and everything is more accurate and more to the point. And from now on, they can actually build their platform and it's more AI ready in terms of the code. So every time they want to use us or any other solution in the space for that matter, the code that is generated would be able to be digested, if I will, better and more hygienic for AI.
It's interesting. You mentioned they have their designs. Is there an integration with other design tools like a Figma or something else that helps drive the process?
It's a great question. So we can do everything from Figma, screenshot, or even plain text, right? Even if you have a robust platform or a platform that you've been working on for the last couple of years, all you need to do is just write in plain English what you want to generate, and we would be able to generate the screen, the result, without any Figma, without any design, contextually to your look and feel.
So you can refer outside to an existing look and feel.
Yeah.
And does this also integrate with existing code base? So if I've got some code already in play, can we add on to our existing code base?
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. The first initial run that we do, we build the technologies that can actually understand your current code base, and then generate, as I mentioned, new screen, and or as you refer to, update your current code base or update specific components or specific screens that you have.
Well, that's kind of a brave new world, especially for guys like me that started hand building software so many years ago. If people want to learn more about your company or reach out to you, how can they do that, Adir?
So they can connect with me on LinkedIn. I would be happy to connect, or go to autonomyai.io, register on the website. We'll be happy to talk with them.
That's great. Well, thank you. If people want to reach me, I'm on LinkedIn/in/Ken Lempit. My advertising and demand generation agency for B2B tech and SaaS is Austin Lawrence Group. And if you haven't subscribed to the SaaS Backwards podcast, please do so wherever podcasts are distributed. Adir Ben-Yehuda, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here.